কাহা দাস রঘুনাথ পতিত পাবন। কাহা মোর ভট্ট যুগ কাহা কবি রাজ। কাহা মোর ভট্ট যুগ কাহা কবি রাজ। এক কালে কোথা গেলা গোরা নট রাজ। এক কালে কোথা গেলা গোরা নট রাজ। পাশানে খুটিব মাথা অনলে পশিব। পাশানে খুটিব মাথা অনলে পশিব। গৌরাঙ্গ গুণের নিধি কোথা গেলে পাব। গৌরাঙ্গ গুণের নিধি কোথা গেলে পাব। সেসব সঙ্গীর সঙ্গে যে কইল বিলাস। সেসব সেসব সঙ্গীর সঙ্গে যে কইল বিলাস। সেসব সঙ্গীর সঙ্গে সে সঙ্গ না পাইয়া কাঁদে নরোত্তম দাস সে সঙ্গ না সে সঙ্গ না পাইয়া কাদে নরোত্তম দাস সে সঙ্গ না পাইয়া কাদে নরোত্তম অজয়া নীল প্রেম ধন করুণা প্রচুর জয়া নীল প্রেম ধন করুণা আঘেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য ঠাকুর হেন প্রভু কোথা গেলা আচার্য
Shrimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Saraswanivari Paschati Deshatarine. Most of you have never met Jamuna Devi, is that correct? Anyone has met Jamuna Devi? Few hands. Jamuna Devi, just like Krishna, he has a front side and a back side. So those of us who knew Jamuna Devi, this day is a day when we practice gratitude, kritagya, because she was personally trained by Srila Prabhupada in so many of the arts of serving Krishna. And through her, we learned also how to serve Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So she was an elder sister to me, 9 years older than me, and of course senior in initiation by 4 years. So when coming here, Jamuna Devi had already been in India for 4 years. And Srila Prabhupada, though he arranged for the money for the construction of the temple, he did not give anything for the preparation of the deities. He insisted that Guru Das and Jamuna collect everything for the deity worship, for getting everything ready, and for the deities. So Jamuna would often go back and forth between here and Jaipur to make sure that the carving of the deities was going on perfectly. She personally designed their lordships, their mudras. Prabhupada also showed her, for instance, Radharani is in the dancing mudra, although we never get to see her hands because they've putting all kinds of things in her hands. But Prabhupada he personally showed her that she should be in dancing mudra. And then Jamuna Devi searched all over and finally found the right face for Srimati Radharani. It was a deity of Sita Devi, and the picture was there. She even altered that so that the most beautiful Srimati Radharani we're worshipping here by Jamuna Devi's complete precision and artistic ability to see that everything was done perfectly. She designed how the altars would be, the height of all of the deities. Everything was designed by her. And all of the Lakshmi was also collected by her and Guru Das. And also for the outfits, everything. And the most amazing paraphernalia she collected specially for the artis, the ghee lamps. Everything was just done to complete perfection. All silver. She took help from the Radharaman Goswamis, how to get the proper arti paraphernalia. Originally we had 2 diyas that we were offering. One was the camphor lamp that we offer now, and the other we made every day the long sticks as they offer in other temples. It was all arranged by Jamuna Devi with magnificent silver paraphernalia. So all that was done by her. The original plates of the deities, everything was such perfection. So this day is a day that we express our gratitude to Srimati Jamuna Devi for the groundwork that she laid here in this Krishna Balaram temple, so that this worship can go on perpetually. As Prabhupada taught us, as Prabhupada explained in his lecture today, you simply have to repeat what the spiritual master, what you've heard from him. So that is how Jamuna Devi set up the deity worship here. We remain ever grateful to her, and all of us who are serving here should have that same gratitude to such a devotee, because by her surrender to Srila Prabhupada, and the first thing that Jamuna Devi said to me when we met was, "It's a dog-eat-dog world." Now that's a very heavy statement. But after struggling here, traveling all over India with Srila Prabhupada, and there was a lot of austerity that the early devotees had to perform, and she really had to suffer a lot in order to help establish this temple. Now she's being, it's called beautification. Her life is being beautified, books are being written about her, she has a samadhi, she's being glorified in many temples around the world today. But Jamuna Devi really suffered to fulfill the orders that Srila Prabhupada gave her. So we should remember that and not think that everything was very happy and blissful, and it was blissful, but there was a lot of tapasya mixed in with that. And let us just be grateful to her for all of the austerities that she performed so that we can worship their lordships to this very day. Hare Krishna.
Gratitude, we take it for granted sometimes, but we give extreme gratitude for Prabhupada and Prabhupada's assistance. Gopal Prabhu will speak, and then Preeti Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnuvedaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Iti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Skachita Satarini. So as all of us are progressing in our advancement in Krishna consciousness, more and more revelations are revealed to us, and we know that our advancement and our introduction into Krishna consciousness is not something that happens whimsically, but it's ordained due to activities that we have performed in previous births. So, Bahunam Janmanamante, after many, many births. So, at a certain time, when one is ready to again take up their spiritual activities, they will be introduced into Krishna consciousness again. So for me, I was very fortunate that in 1967 I was able to attend the very first Rath Yatra festival. And at that time there were only one set of deities in ISKCON, and there were 6 temples in ISKCON, and these were the Jagannath deities that Shyamasundar Prabhu had carved. So in 1967, this was called the Summer of Love, and many thousands and thousands of hippies converged into the city of San Francisco, especially in the Haight-Ashbury district. So I was one of these persons. My interest in spiritual activities had already began, although I was being misdirected by many bogus types of philosophies and gurus. However, on one particular day, I was sitting in the park with a group of hippies, another group of hippies, and we were smoking hashish. And as we were smoking and enjoying the effects of this narcotic, I heard in the distance a sound, ching, 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 ching. And on the road below us there was a pickup truck that on the back of this pickup truck was the deities of Jagannath, Baladeva, and Subhadra. And so at that time I was allowed to have Darshan of the Lord, and at the same time this very melodious mantra was being sung by the devotees there. So I didn't realize it now, or then, but now I know that Bhakti Rasa Bij was the seed of devotion, was being impregnated into my heart, and Jamuna Devi was one of those who were singing, and she was instrumental in rejuvenating my ability to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. So it was as I say, as you grow older, your realizations of things that have transpired in your life will continue, and you will see how things are not willy-nilly, but they are meant for you to proceed on your path to perfection in Krishna consciousness. So I have to be very grateful to that small group of devotees, Jamuna Devi included, who sang the Hare Krishna mantra and awoken in my heart the desire to fulfill my quest for spiritual enlightenment. So, as I said, at that time there were maybe 6 or 7 temples in ISKCON, and my temple, the one that I was living in Seattle, we had 4 devotees, and all of us were brahmacharis, and at least I cannot speak for the other devotees, their desires and how they manifested, but we were brahmacharis, and we were given very strict regulations that brahmacharis should follow, and if they want to make advancement in spiritual life. But at the same time, in other temples in San Francisco, they were all grihastas. Jamuna, Gurudev, Shamasundar, Malati, I forget the other one, but anyway, in this way, they were grihastas, and they had decided to go to England. And at that time, there was no mass or immediate way of communicating. Like today, we have our cell phones, we can talk to someone in Timbuktu in a matter of 1 second. But for us, everything was done by mail, which was later given the name snail mail. And we heard that Prabhupada had been having trouble with his visa in America, And so therefore he went to Montreal. And these devotees, they came from San Francisco to visit Srila Prabhupada and told him that they wanted to go to England. And Prabhupada was so very pleased and gave these devotees his blessing, and they ventured off to a foreign land. And as we know, they met with very, 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 very great success, meeting the most famous musicians in the world at that time, and making a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful recording from the Brahma Samhita. And at that time, we didn't have cassette players, CD players. Everything was still being produced on 45s. So when Srila Prabhupada heard this song sung by Her Grace Jamuna Devi, he became overwhelmed with the beauty of that song. And he told that this song must be played every morning in all of our temples. And so we had to buy a battery-operated record player, a small little record player, and from England we received 45 record, which is a small little record, and it had the Govindam prayers on this, and we would play that every morning. So even today, this is part of Jamuna's legacy, that all over the world, every devotee hears that song, and it's due to the mercy and Jamuna Devi's love for Srila Prabhupada that we can hear that song every day. So, you know, I have many stories. I can go on for a while longer. I don't know how many speakers there are, but as we know, ISKCON was a fledgling society. Srila Prabhupada wanted to expand this society, and in order to do this, he had to depend upon ragamuffin groups of young boys and girls who knew little or nothing about Krishna, but they had a desire and the willingness to follow the instructions, just as Srila Prabhupada was saying in his lecture today, that you must have a guru and you must follow the instructions of that guru. So Prabhupada had made an announcement very early that he was going to choose 16 devotees to go with him on a world Sankirtan party. We would travel all over the world. And so for me, I heard this and I was, okay, you know, this will happen. But unbeknownst to me, I was chosen by Srila Prabhupada to go with him to come here to India. And also Jamuna, her husband, and a group of others, 13 of us, were all chosen, and we came here to India. And as I said, I came from a strict brahmachari temple, and I took seriously Prabhupada's instructions that brahmacharis should not mix or talk with any women. Although there were women in our party, and they joined us every day in our Sankirtan mission, chanting. I had very little personal conversation with any of these because I didn't want to abridge Prabhupada's instructions and speak to women. However, Jamuna was, from my observation, watching the other devotees, watching Srila Prabhupada's reaction and how he related to each devotee, I could see that Jamuna was very, very dear to Prabhupada. And not only because she did so much and made so many sacrifices, but she had that desire, and it was very visible in her behavior. And she's become very famous for her cooking. She has written a few cookbooks which are like the holy grail for temples when they need to know how to make some types of preparations. And she would always be one of the first chosen to cook for Srila Prabhupada, and he praised her always for her ability to learn and cook, even going as far as Srila Prabhupada's sister, going to her and watching her cook all of these nice Bengali dishes and then reproducing them for Prabhupada, and always pleasing him with her ability to cook. So at one occasion, as our party, 13 of us that were in this group were traveling, we were going to come here to Vrindavan. And at least for myself, I was so excited that I was going to come to Vrindavan. This is a Vaishnava's dream, to come to Vrindavan. However, our train stopped in Mathura station. So at that time there was no rickshaws or taxis or anything. All they had was a tanga. A tanga is a horse-drawn cart. And as someone was arranging for these, I was on the platform in Mathura station walking, and I was thinking, I'm going to Vrindavan, I'm going to Vrindavan, I'm going to Vrindavan. And then someone came and told me that Srila Prabhupada wants to see you. And so I went, and Prabhupada was still in his room on the train. And when I went into the room, there was Guru Das, Jamuna, Giriraj Swami, and one boy named Bruce. Bruce later became Bhanu Swami. But we were there, and I came in, and then Srila Prabhupada says, I want you to go to Delhi. So I was very disappointed. I wanted to come here to Vrindavan, and all of the activities that the remaining devotees who traveled with Prabhupada here in Vrindavan, they have been recorded, and it was so wonderful. But the duty of a disciple is to fulfill the wishes of his Guru Maharaj, even if they may seem to be uncomfortable. So all of us, we left that group of devotees. We went to Delhi, and as in the beginning, when devotees traveled, they never were given even 1 paisa, because the society was poor. We had no money. We had to go, and with our wits, we had to accept any hardships that came, struggle, and fulfill the desires. But if the devotee makes an effort to fulfill his Guru Maharaj's wishes, then he will provide for you. Just like Prabhupada has said so many times, the small ant is getting a grain of sugar each day, and the elephant is getting 500 pounds of hay every day to eat and sustain themselves. So we are the same. We arrived in Delhi, we had no money. Somehow we met some man, and he took us to this ramshackle little, not hotel, just a few vacant rooms. And 3 of us, the brahmacharis, we stayed in one room, and Jamuna and Guru Das, they stayed in another room. And we would go out and we would do Sankirtan. And hopefully we would meet with some success. So one person met us and invited us to meet his boss. Oh, now I can't remember what his name. His name was. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but he was one of the richest men in Delhi, and he took a liking to us and invited us to go to his house. And we had come from our humble accommodations into his nice big house, and served us such delicious opulent food off of gold plates. The plates were actually golden plates, and of course we have never experienced anything like that. And myself today, I haven't eaten off of a golden plate again since that one time. But anyway, we all enjoyed this, and when one makes this type of Guru Maharaj, Sri Prabhupada coming here or your guru is going there, you will make an effort to travel to see your Guru Maharaj, to have darshan with your Guru Maharaj. But the epitome or the true success is that if you can do something which all of you have the ability to do, to make your guru be so pleased with your service that he comes and he sees you. He wants to see you. I'm coming to see you. And I know that on many occasions Prabhupada appreciated the service that his devotees did, the sacrifices. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I know that on this day, we can glorify Jamuna Devi, and we can emulate her, and all of us have within our hearts the ability to become, Prabhupada said, gurus. We have the ability to do that, but in order to do that, you must be dedicated and sincere, and Jamuna was this type of devotee.
Thank you, Gopal Prabhu. Priti Prabhu? Yeah, no, I'm going to read from Mother Mahadevi. Okay. This is an offering from Mother Mahadevi while Prabhu gets ready. Hare Krishna. I just say that we went to visit Mother Jamuna, Key West, South Florida, and her place was immaculately beautiful, all white. You could feel the cleanliness. And my wife was with Mother Jamuna when she was working on her book, which received the highest awards. And her meals, as we heard, she was expert cook. She was an artist, calligraphy, wonderful musician, could sing so beautifully, and so dedicated and surrendered, so perfect example. Spending time with her, you could see the perfections that Mother Devi Shakti was speaking about. She was very much focused on details, and just the top of Krishna, by Prabhupada's mercy, empowered her to serve Srila Prabhupada and also help to inspire and bring people to the Krishna consciousness. And we enjoyed her association, especially her prasadam was great. This is from Mother Mahadevi. Jai Jamuna Devi Prabhu Ki Jai. May we always find a way to glorify Srila Prabhupada in whatever we do, say, offer, or give away. How much Srila Prabhupada relishes your Govinda prayers, especially expressing his glorification when the bhajan was first produced and presented to his divine grace in the early 70s in New Dwarka. Jamuna Prabhu, you had told how George Harrison and you became good friends as well. He was inspired in many of his famous songs about Krishna by what you told him about Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness. You and he had the idea for the chorus part at the end of Govinda prayers. For the 18 or so times we chanted Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Prabhupada really glorified that. You and George Harrison gathered so many random people in the studio to fill up that chorus part, whoever was there in studio, like technicians, sound people, etc., as well as the devotees. Prabhupada really enjoyed. He even sings along on one tape, Govindamari Purusham. But when some of our God brothers heard this beautiful bhajan for the first time, they complained to Prabhupada, but it's a woman's voice. Prabhupada's immediate reply to you and the rest of the world, yes, let this be the gathering, the greeting of the Lords at 7:15 and all over the world in all our ISKCON temples for all time. This is how Mukunda Maharaj has told the above glorification of you, dear Jamuna Devi. Your samadhi was made in the likeness of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as you so much like to sing Guru Vastakam prayers. You personally enthused our Kinchana Krishna Prabhu with your beautiful character and love for Prabhupada. Thank you, Jamuna Prabhu, for your timeless love for our magnificent Srila Prabhupada, our wonderful lords and their devotees. We beg to follow in your footsteps of devotion. Then she's doing her Sankirtan. Please purchase the book about Jamuna Devi at Mother Devi Shakti's shop. So we can see how the devotees are appreciating very much the sacrifice and how much by serving, wanting to serve, understanding the mood of your spiritual master, how she became empowered. You see the beauty of the deities, the beauty of the altars, and it's not just that she's an ordinary person, as Gopal Prabhu says, after many, many lifetimes, or a very rare personality gets the opportunity to come in the association of pure devotee, what to speak in the association, but to personally assist Prabhupada with her bhajan. She could give a great lecture. The singing was inspirational and drawing us to Krishna consciousness. And as an individual, she was very, very kind, very thoughtful, very graceful in everything she did. So this is a beautiful day to remember her sacrifice and dedication to Srila Prabhupada, just like we know in Krishna book how the wives of the Brahmanas who disregarded Krishna's friends when they were asking for prasad for hungry Krishna and Balaram, they said, we're too busy doing our puja, go away. They didn't say anything, they didn't respond. But the wives of the Brahmanas, despite the husbands or the fathers and sons trying to stop them, they were very, very excited to go to Krishna and Balaram and give them everything, full surrender, not caring for social convention. So for a young woman like Mother Jamuna Devi to travel throughout India and surrender her whole life to an Indian guru to serve the mission, this could be considered a great sacrifice. Because people may appreciate, they come and see the deity and have some appreciation, but to give your whole life and dedication to carry on this mission is a wonderful, commendable example of a surrendered servant that we should follow in that footsteps, Mother Jamuna's footsteps. Yeah. So I'm waiting for Pritu Prabhu, but Janardhan Maharaj, you come and say a few words? Acha? Mother Jamuna Devi ki jai. Janardhan Maharaj will say a few words and then Pritu, you're up. That'll be the last.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kipasindhubhya evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Yamuna Mataji ki. So yes, our movement is very bona fide. As Prabhupada says, if I can make one pure devotee, I will consider my mission as a success. So in our movement, we have many, many moons. Prabhupada says you can have many, many stars, but you only need one moon. You don't need all of those stars. Well, we have a lot of stars also. So Mother Yamuna, we met her a few times because we traveled all over the world, and we went to Saranagati also. Her ashram was there along with Mother Dina Tarini. And as Panchagoda Prabhu says, the immaculateness of the cleanliness, it's like you're going inside a temple. And they're beautiful deities. So I was a brahmachari then at that time, and she said brahmachari. She will address brahmachari as brahmachari, right? And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tried to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, and he sent also his sannyasi to England, but not successful. And Prabhupada was so proud that when these three couples went to England, especially London, and he says that my grihastha disciples, they can do better than sannyasis. And when she met George Harrison, and they proposed that why don't the Beatles make the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and George says, no, you do it, you take the credit. And George Harrison, after hearing that, or making that album, the Radha Krishna Temple album, he was trying to convince Yamuna Mataji to join, to be like a full-time, like artist. Because according to George Harrison, Yamuna Mataji, she is the best singer that he's ever heard, a female singer. But then, as we knew, she did not take that. Before going to England, she asked Prabhupada, what is your most favorite bhajan? What is your most favorite song? Anybody knows? Oh yeah, you read. Yes, that is the song. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read you, because her relationship with Srila Prabhupada is more of Vani than Vapu. The separation from the spiritual master is very, very painful, but she's always there with Srila Prabhupada because she fulfilled the desires of Srila Prabhupada. So I'm just going to read you the translation, and I would like to suggest to you that there is a very nice article of Yamuna Mataji's disappearance memory. I believe that was by Radhanath Swami, and we put that in our website, ISKCON Vrindavan. I was just reading it, but it's quite long. So let us hear what is Srila Prabhupada's most favorite song or bhajans, because this also carries the mood. Mother Yamuna carries this mood as well, because her taste for chanting, her taste for, or her compassionate nature to help the conditioned souls is amazing. O Hari, my life passes uselessly. I have received this human birth, but by not performing bhajan of Shri Radha Krishna, I have knowingly drank poison. This is Narottam Das Thakur's song. Why has attachment for Harinam Sankirtan, Goloka Vrindavan's treasure of divine love, not awakened within me? Day and night, my heart burns in the poisonous fire of material existence, and I have no means to alleviate it. The son of the king of Braj has become the son of Sachi Devi, and Balaram has become Nitai. Through Harinam, they have delivered all those who were fallen and wretched. Jagai and Madai are testaments to this fact. Narottam Das says, O my Lord, son of Nanda Maharaj, accompanied by the daughter of Vishabhanu Maharaj, be merciful to me at last. Do not push me away from your reddish lotus feet, other than you who is mine. So in the last few days of Mother Yamuna's existence, or Leela, with us, she was in Mumbai. And she was asked, is there anything else that you wish to do before leaving? She says, I don't have any more desires, but only one. To help our women in the movement, to give them more of the recognition, because if you don't mind, I would like to read that special right in the end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's very nice tribute here of She said a few times that she was ready to go, that she felt she had done what she was meant to do in this life, or what she could do, and she was ready to go. She had no fear and no regrets. Personally, I questioned her conclusion about her service, and I suggest, well, you may have something left to do in terms of Srila Prabhupada. I was thinking of her writing that she would write about her experiences. No matter how, here. I don't think that you as a sannyasi can understand what the woman in the movement experience. But if Krishna does give me some more time, I would like to do something for the women, to support the women, to give a strong voice to the women. Prabhupada says, if she is in the male's body, she would be a GBC. Huh? Well, Prabhupada says like that. Because Prabhupada says, both boys and girls, my disciples in the movement, they're equal. Only in the material world that, of course, because the woman has lesser brain substance or something, that's a material world. But in our movement, both the women and the men, they both have the same capacity of surrender and service towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's Mother Yamuna. Yamuna Maayi Ki. Yes, I always remember her, especially whenever we go to Yamuna every day and pass by the Samadhi area in Goshala. Hare Krishna. Yamuna Mataji Ki.
Thank you, Maharaj. Preeti Prabhu, here's the last one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Namo Bhakti-yoga Swami Namini Namaste Guravani Pacharini Nivisesa Sunyavani Pasatya Satani. So this will be rather a short contribution, because experience of Mother Yamuna, but there are some. I remember way back, I can't even point out when it was, it must have been 68 or 69. I was a student, I studied. Our professor, he was a Buddhist, and a very impressive person. And so he talked a lot about India. And so I got some idea. He showed us monks, shaved head. And so at that time, I had actually very long hair. I say this because later I will explain my relation to Yamuna when I had no hair. So we were standing as students in front of this psychedelic dungeon. It was where people were dancing, wild dancing, and everybody was a little ticked up by certain herbs, which were very popular at that time to smoke. And so we were standing in front of this dungeon. I with my long hair, my friend also, and a bus pulled up. And there were a whole bunch of devotees came out of this bus. And they were dressed, they were white, but they had shaved heads, and immediately in my mind were they Buddhist. And wearing these clothes. So I said to my friend, this is just too much. I mean, how can they do that? In India I can understand, but here in Europe, how can anybody dress up like this? I said, this is way over the top, it's way beyond what is acceptable. So I, even myself, being kind of influenced by the then youth culture, for me that was just over the top. People coming, men and women coming out of this thing. And I heard they were singing in this club because Tamal Krishna Goswami was on this European tour with his Yamuna, etc., and they toured and were invited at different places to play. And so that was the next one. Experience the devotees. Then I got, later on, I remember I saw their album. There were rumors among the alternative movement that there are white Hindus, Krishnas, singing Hare Krishna. I thought they were all, Indian people, and I was shocked that these were the same people I had heard about it. I saw on the street. And so that was the next encounter. And there was another encounter. I remember this must have been 1972, and we were about to open a temple in Heidelberg. And our temple was actually in the youth hall, in the student union hall. There was a theater there. And we were living behind that curtain. I remember when I arrived, Shivananda myself, he was already there, so I came from Hamburg. And I came behind this curtain, people were playing ping pong. It was a ping pong hall during the off time. And so he said, well, welcome to the Hare Krishna temple. Later on, right after that, we were living with some hippies, and then at one stage, Shivananda, he was Prabhupada's servant actually for a long time. He put a little record on the record player. They had a little record player, these hippies we were staying with. And it was the Govinda prayer. And I must say, I cried like anything. I had to literally sit down and cry. I cried the whole album, the whole Govinda prayers from the beginning to the end. It was such a deep, moving experience to hear Yamuna sing. It was a very, very deep experience, and so that was the next time I met Yamuna. At that time, I had no hair. I joined the Hare Krishna movement then. And so then I heard from Shivananda so many things about Yamuna, that she was very meticulous in whatever she would do. Even the deity dresses, she had drawings of them, very beautiful. Her handwriting was very beautiful, very specific, it's not like, everything was very meaningful to her, even when she designed for the deities. And then I heard about her cooking. There was some preparations that Shivananda used to make, kind of granola preparations. And we would take this every day, and he said he learned it from Yamuna. And it was so good that every morning we ate so much of it with yogurt that we would eat, lie down, and wake up 2 hours or 3 hours later, kind of our sadhana, and then we would go out and distribute books. So she was very meticulous in cooking and cleaning, whatever she did for Prabhupada. She had great love for Prabhupada. She was one of these iconic devotees, like Jayananda was there. He had great love for Prabhupada. And he was very simple in his daily life. He was doing practical work. He said that's my dharma, to do very practical work, like building a Rath cart. But his love for Prabhupada was oceanic. It was everybody knew he would do anything for Prabhupada. And so Yamuna also, she was in this mind that she would do anything, and she had real love for Prabhupada, deep love, like we may not have sometimes, or maybe not always. So she was famous for that she was a deep follower of Srila Prabhupada. One saw her many times on covers of Back to Godhead magazines. And I remember that one time, it was here in Vrindavan, I met her, and she must have heard about me because she knew from book distribution or something. So I said, aha, this is now Yamuna Mataji. And he said, yes, and this is Pritu, Pitaji. I had to laugh. It was kind of funny. It was a joke that she made. That was the only time I saw her. I heard her singing, I heard her lecturing. I knew that she was living in this farm community out there in, what was it name called? In Canada? Huh? Right, that one. So, 75 years old, what do you expect? And so she was living there, and she had a house built out of straw ballen. It was a straw house, big ballen of straw, pressed together and then plastered. And the house was extremely beautiful. People said from the inside, everything was painted, the windows were painted, and a large amount of people visited her. And sannyasis would go to visit because she was living there with another lady, and she would preach so much about Prabhupada. She knew so much about Prabhupada. She was a very fascinating person, very fascinating, known for her deep love, her dedication, and her meticulousness, whatever it may be, whether it was cooking or cleaning or designing for the deities. She had these beautiful deities. I saw pictures. Radha Banabihari, is he still working? Banabihari, she had these deities that she worshipped with great love, and she wrote this amazing cookbook that became the #1 book, a guidebook in vegetarian cooking all over the world. It was accoladed by many great cooks at that time. And she worked for 6 years. It took her to create this one book. 6 years was completely dedicated, beside her sadhana, to producing this book. And so, very diligent, very hardworking lady, and very deep in her Krishna conscious realization. And we can only stand in awe and veneration, sitting here and glorifying her qualities. Yamuna Devidasi ki jai. Hare Krishna.
For grace, Yamuna Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna. There's also 12:30 at the Samadhi area at the Goshala. There'll be a short ceremony. hearing and chanting.
Hare Hare